Hey, welcome back. Let's talk about the Antler Orogeny. This is really the only orogenic event to occur during the Paleozoic era on what is now our west coast. So we had a collision between some eastward moving island arcs and the western border of the North American craton of Laurasia. It's caused by a convergent boundary. There was subduction, which resulted in the closing of a kind of a narrow ocean basin that separated the island arc from the craton, smushing those two things together, accreting them. Later erosion of the Antler Highlands, which they came to be known as these two things collided to create this mountainous highland area, produced large amounts of sediment that went both east and west. And again, the Antler Orogeny was just the first in a series of orogenic belt events to affect the Cordilleran mobile belt. However, most of that occurred in the Mesozoic and the Cenozoic. So this is really just a little blip, a little initial orogenic event for the Cordilleran mobile belt on the west coast of what is now North America. So we'll talk more about that mobile belt when we get to the next few units. But this is just a little flavor, a little taste, not to forget the west coast. So what we see at the beginning of the Antler Orogeny, not much over here. What we see at the end of the Antler Orogeny, an island arc kind of just came in and sutured on there. You know, that convergent boundary thrust some things up. So we see the beginnings of that Cordilleran mobile belt. So this is just a little bit of a cross-section of what that kind of looked like. That island arc was thrust up onto and over the existing craton and all of the sediment that had been deposited on top of that. So a little bit of effect here down in Arizona. So this is pre-Antler Orogeny. It's kind of coming in, and now we have the Antler origin, the highlands, the mountain, the actual mountain range itself. And then from here, as the oceans and as weathering occurred, weathering and erosion occurred and the seas regress, a lot of this sediment was deposited not only to the west, but also to the east, some of that coming down into Arizona, more specifically northern Arizona. So we can see the remnants of the Antler Mountains as the sea is regressing. So a lot of that sediment is being deposited in these areas here. That's where a lot of this Aeolian wind-blown sand and sediment comes from, the grinding down of the remnant antler mountains during the Antler Orogeny. All right, so that's a little bit of the west coast. More on the Cordilleran mobile belt in other units. That comes at a later time. This is just the first little blip of that. In fact, let me go back. Yeah, here. So the rest of that we'll get to at a much later time in Earth's history. But what we're going to go to next is we're going to jump back over to the Appalachian mobile belt and the building of the Appalachian Mountains over on what is now our east coast. So let's go ahead and pause here. When we come back, we'll talk again about the Appalachian mobile belt. See you back here in just a second.